Welcome back. We're going to look at our grammar for this week. And as we are doing so, let me make sure I am sharing my screen with everyone. We are looking at our final 3 parts of speech. So that is a big deal. We are wrapping up all of the parts of speech, and our quiz on that will be next week. And then we're going to move on to other grammar stuff. The first 2 we look at are going to be connectors in sentences. And our final one is a disruptor. It's going to function by itself, independent of other words in the sentence. And really, it's the only part of speech that does so. So it's kind of unique. Our first part of speech is the preposition. Prepositions make it possible to show relationships between words. The relationships shown may involve, for example, location, direction, time, cause, or possession. We use these a lot, right? In, on, left, right, above, below. A preposition relates the noun or pronoun that appears with it to another location in the sentence. So if we look at our sentence here, inventions are made around the world. Made is our verb. Around is connect. Where are they made? Around world. Direction. Small discoveries lead toward new inventions. Lead is our verb. Small discoveries are the thing doing the verb. Where is it leading? Toward what? New inventions. Time. So we have words like for. Cause. People invent because of their curiosity. And possession. Changes from new inventions help many people. As you noticed in our last slide, we talked about the verb, the preposition itself, and the noun that it connected to. These start what the preposition itself, not the verb, starts a prepositional phrase. A prepositional phrase is a group of words that includes a preposition and a noun or pronoun. It's basically what starts with the preposition and leads to what the object of that preposition is. What is the noun or pronoun that it's connecting to the rest of the sentence? Objects of prepositions may have one or more modifiers, adjectives. A prepositional phrase may also have more than one object. So if we look at the examples below, the prepositions themselves are italicized, objects are in bold, and the entire prepositional phrases are underlined. For the first one, Alexander Graham Bell and Alicia Gray applied for telephone patents on the same day. So if we look, this sentence actually has 2 prepositions, for and on, and they are going to, because of that, there are actually 2 prepositional phrases. Applied, what was applied? For, so this is connecting applied. Telephone patents is one. On the same day is connecting the when. So these are 2 separate ones. Interestingly enough, and this is going to come in a couple of weeks once we start looking at what breaking down sentences and diagramming them. Anything in a prepositional phrase. So we notice that we have nouns here, right? Telephone patents, same day. Anything in there cannot be the subject of the sentence. It cannot be them, even though they are nouns, they can never be the main noun. Why? Because they are connecting or elaborating on the verb, right? So if we look, Alexander Graham Bell and Alicia Gray are our subject. All they did was apply. Everything else, think of it, we see them underlined. You can sit here and actually cross them out. There is no way they are the subject or the verb. Same thing in the second sentence. During his lifetime. So it's giving us that. about Bell. It's connecting during his lifetime. What happened? Bell resided where? In Scotland and Canada. So, keeping what I kept in mind, what I said, if we were eliminating prepositional phrases, the sentence is, and it's not, it is a sentence, right? It has a subject and a verb, which isn't a very elaborate one, is Bell resided. I included a list here of prepositions. I'd highly, highly recommend you look through these. I'm not going to read them all to you. Because anytime, like if we just look at certain ones, they're giving us all of those things, right? Location, direction, time, and cause. Sometimes it gets tricky between preposition and adverbs because some of them are the same word. Some prepositions are also adverbs. And they can be difficult to tell apart. Remember, the purpose of an adverb is to modify a verb, right? She walked quickly. How did she walk? Quickly. None of those, and if we look at our last sentence, is modifying the verb, right? For is not modifying the verb. It's telling us more about it. It's connecting the verb to an object of that verb. Because remember, adverbs modify verbs, adjectives, or other adverbs, if we remember from last week. Words that can function in either role include words like around, before, behind, down, in, off, on, out, over, and up. Here's a little trick. To determine the part of speech of these words, whether they're a preposition or an adverb, see whether an object accompanies the word. If so, the word is a preposition. So for instance, the Messene age developed around a group of inventions. Around what? Inventions. It's a preposition. My thoughts went around and around. Here, there is no object, and the around is actually describing the went, right? Where did the thoughts go? Around and around. That's the distinction in identifying the differences. Conjunctions, just like prepositions, conjunctions connect different parts of the sentence. A conjunction is a word used to connect other words or groups of words. There are three main types that we're going to talk about today: coordinating conjunctions, correlative conjunctions, and subordinating conjunctions. Also, sometimes a kind of adverb called a conjunctive adverb can also function as a conjunction, and we'll talk about that. Coordinating conjunctions. The 7 coordinating conjunctions are used to connect similar parts of speech or groups of words of equal grammatical weight. By equal, what I mean is that they have similar functions in a sentence, such as are both independent, can function on their own if we separated them and wanted to make them sentences, or dependent, meaning that both are dependent, meaning that one of the sentences can function on their own while the other part could not. These coordinated conjunctions are and, but, for, nor, or, so, yet. So if I said Claudia and Mr. Template read books, those are the and is showing that we are both equal in that sentence, right? Claudia and myself. Neither of us are taking priority. One of us isn't reading, the other is taking a nap. We're both doing the same thing. Correlative conjunctions. These 5 paired words join elements of equal grammatical rate. They do not necessarily appear next to each other. That's why we have these ellipses, this ... but rather throughout the sentence. These are both and, either or, neither nor, not only, but also, and whether or. For example, I could go either to the store or to the movies. Those choices are equal, right? I can do one or the other. So if we think about that again, coordinating conjunctions and correlative conjunctions both join elements of equal weight. That is not the same as subordinating conjunctions. Unlike the previous 2 types, subordinating conjunctions join 2 complete ideas by making one of the ideas dependent subordinate, essentially, upon the other, meaning that the dependent part behind the subordinating conjunction cannot function on its own. The subordinate idea in a sentence always begins with a subordinating conjunction and makes up what is now known as a subordinate clause. A subordinate clause may either follow or precede, come in front of the main idea in a sentence. So for instance, I will look at our first one. These, there's a whole list here. I also definitely recommend, particularly when you're doing your grammar exercises, that you look at these. Let's look at after, since the first one. After I went to the store, I took a nap. I can say I took a nap, right? If I just left that alone, that makes sense. However, after I went to the store is subordinating. It's dependent to be paired with I took a nap, right? I cannot just say after I went to the store. If we think of that in terms of audience, my audience is waiting for something to follow it. I can't just say after I went to the store. There's something that needs to come behind it. Conjunctive adverbs. They act as a transition between complete ideas. So you're going to want to think about using these when you're writing your narrative. By indicating comparisons, contrast, results, and other relationships. Punctuation is usually required both before and after conjunctive adverbs. So they really kind of interrupt. So for instance, the Macaroni Wireless Telegraph Company Incorporated was very successful. Nevertheless, right, it's connecting these two ideas. Marconi continued to pursue other inventions. So it's saying, nevertheless, this was successful. Marconi still worked. Our last part of speech are interjections. They express emotion. Unlike almost all other words in the English language, they have no grammatical connection to other words in a sentence and can stand on their own, right? If I just said, ouch, I don't need to add anything else. You know what I'm talking about. An interjection is a word that expresses feeling or emotion and functions independently of a sentence. They can express a variety of sentiments such as happiness, fear, anger, pain, surprise, sorrow, exhaustion, or hesitation. Exclamation marks, depending on how emphatic they are, or commas usually set off an interjection from the rest of the sentence. Some examples. Ouch, that stove is very hot. Goodness, I've never seen such a big cockroach in my life. If we think about this, most of the curse words we yell are interjections. And so here's an example of those below. For this week, our grammar exercises, it's one set of exercises. It's several sets of exercises under one activity. This is our final set of grammar exercises on part of speech before we have our quiz next week. And so next week, I'll remind you to review your materials in preparation for that quiz. There is nothing else. I wish you good luck on your grammar exercises this week. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out.